Welcome to the Weekly Huddle YouTube channel. I'm your host, Owen, and today I have a very special guest with me to break down the Bills vs. Steelers game on Sunday Night Football this upcoming week. This is a man I've been watching for, I think the last 4 or 5 years or so on YouTube. He's one of my most favorite football content creators out there. Standing in at 11 foot 1 inch now, weighing 53.5 Pittsburghers with a blood type of Heinz ketchup. He's a YouTube sports shitposter and professional yinzer. This is UrinatingTree. How you doing, man?
I do need to make one correction. My blood type is actually ranch dressing, not Heinz ketchup. But that's easy to mix up. Don't worry. How you doing today, man?
Good. When you get wings, do you put the ranch on there?
Actually, I haven't had wings in a while, but if I usually do, it varies. It depends how I feel. Sometimes I'll usually do, blue cheese. Sometimes I'll dip the celery in the ranch. But
yeah.
Depends on if it's sauced or not. That's the way it is.
Yeah. So my friends like to make fun of me because I'm from Buffalo, but I don't like blue cheese on my wings or on anything. I don't like blue cheese at all. My girlfriend dunks her pizza in it and stuff, and my friends dip their wings in it. I don't like it.
Yeah, I used to love blue cheese as a kid. Now it's it's okay.
And that's apparently heresy from being from where I'm from. So I had to. It's kind of just the thing I have to defend every time. But yeah, so. It's good to have you on. Usually, for people who haven't seen this, every week I break down the Bills game, and obviously I haven't had someone to talk to about it yet, so now I have someone from the other side perspective, usually just me talking to the camera. I usually go through and watch NFL Game Pass. Great investment. I get all the games condensed for 40 minutes, so I get to go back and I watch all the other games. I still have to watch this. I watched the Steelers game live, but I have to go back and watch it just to do my little points. But seeing if I can get you on here, I was like, I'll just ask him the questions since he's probably one who watched it already for me. So today is Tuesday, the day after the Monday night games. So 2 games that went a little differently for our respective teams, to put it nicely. How for the Steelers who are 11-1 now, what of all the games you've had watched so far from the 11 wins before last night, what would you say would be their best win or their statement win on the season so far?
I'd probably have to say their statement win was probably against Cleveland. I mean, they just crushed them.
Yeah,
wholeheartedly. No sort of effort whatsoever. Tennessee, they nearly gave up a 20-point lead. Baltimore, they was really ugly too, but I don't know if that was because of just the rain and the conditions, per se. They've been playing really, really ugly football the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've seen, any of their games, Dallas, they nearly lost. Baltimore, the second Baltimore game was also, they were without a third of their team, and they still kept them in. There are a lot of signs for concern if you are a Steelers fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was watching the Skip and Shannon show, and Shannon Sharp was like, this is the worst 11-0 team I've ever seen, because, they just been playing ugly football. Tomlin yelled at the team last week about how they suck or whatever. I couldn't really hear that.
Yeah, they were sloppy as hell. He ripped into him in his press conference. If you actually saw that game, it didn't even look like they even wanted to be there.
Right, yeah. Well, at that point, I understand, because when the Bills got the game against the Titans moved, and they were it was basically this whole COVID thing just messed with everyone. That people were I just don't want to play on a day
It happened to the Steelers twice.
Right. So these players are I got to play a game on a day I'm not expecting to, and they had 3 games the last 12 days or something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty. I think it's usually max is 3-13, 3-12. Well,
yeah,
because Sunday, Thursday. It's the only thing I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Actually, wait.
Has there ever been? Because I don't think they would put a Thursday game 2 weeks after a Monday night game. I don't think.
I don't know.
I'm
trying to think. That would probably be the only comparison.
Mm-hmm. I would have to go back, because that's 12. So that's 3-12. So it's as if you ran Monday, Sunday, Thursday. But I think the league actively avoids trying to do that.
Yeah.
So it just sucks overall. And now you guys got to go back. So now both teams from Monday to Sunday now. So now they have kind of equal rest for this game. But again, the Steelers had a lot of games in a short amount of time beforehand.
Yeah. And you have to remember they never had their bye week.
Right. They got the bye week totally just canceled out and put in what was it, week 4?
It was supposed to be week 4, but they were already practicing. They didn't announce the game canceled till I think Thursday or Friday, and by that point they were already doing reps and practices.
Oh yeah, so they basically didn't get any rest.
No.
Yeah, so that definitely
the Baltimore game was supposed to be the rest. They were supposed to after Thursday they would have given them off until Wednesday of the next week, but since that didn't happen.
Right. So definitely some adversity thrown at them from this COVID stuff, and it's just not helping them out a lot. When I'm watching the Steelers, so for when this Bills game, talk about the game coming up, the Steelers, I don't know if I got the numbers correct, but I'm pretty sure I was listening to Colin Cowherd a little bit about it, and he said that their rushing attack since Bell left, it was like 29th, like 28th, and like I don't know what it ranks this year, but it's pretty low. I know from studying like the draft or like other NFL stuff, I thought that maybe they would have a better run game this year just because of the guys they have back there. But I know Connor's been out, and I thought maybe the guys behind him would be able to step up. But give me a little insight on what you think is going on with the run game there.
The main thing there is they don't really run the ball. I mean, if you look at like the run pass play calls, the majority of time they throw the ball, and they throw it a lot, and they make it really, really one-dimensional. And I mean, they have some decent backs in there. Losing Connor hurts, but I mean, they barely use anybody else. I mean, you have Benny Snell, who's shown flashes. McFarland, we don't know who he is. You brought in a fullback in Derek Watt, and you never use him. And most of the time, it just seems to be just a very pass-happy offense. And I feel like people can zone in on it. And Buffalo has a pretty solid secondary. Micah Hyde, Tre'Davious White. I mean, so... Mm-hmm. And there's another thing, too. The Steelers' wide receivers have been dropping a lot of balls the last few weeks. If you were looking at the highlights from Baltimore and Washington, you're seeing a lot of receivers drop balls, especially Deontay Johnson and Eric Ebron. Claypool's kind of dropping a little bit, but he's a rookie. It's forgiven. Washington's probably been their most reliable receiver, but they don't really throw to him that much.
Mm-hmm.
So Juju is like your fourth string wideout. So it's just that deep at wideout, but a lot of drops as of late.
Mm-hmm. So outside of like this, actually, let me ask this first. That whole run pass, the ratio. Do you think that's more on Ben wanting to be selfish and throwing the ball a lot, or do you think it's on Fichtner calling way too many pass plays?
I think it's both. I mean, Fichtner is very chummy with Ben.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he doesn't want to step on his toes too much, and I think it's more 50-50 in that regard.
Yeah, because on ESPN's Power Rankings job today, they highlighted everyone who has the most to lose come this season, and the one they highlighted for the Steelers was Fichtner, because they were saying that Fichtner was calling out Ben for not being able to call plays on no huddle. And then Ben was saying that he was able. I don't know. I was the first time I've been hearing anything like that. But I was kind of shocked. That's why I was like, oh, why would they pick him? But I thought maybe that was playing into why they were passing it so much, because they're giving him like 40, 50 attempts a game.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely something they should try to rein back, especially against the Bills, because one of the weaknesses of the Bills' defense is that they have their pass defense, like you said, they have Hyde, White, they got Jordan Poyer's having a pretty good season. And then like their cornerback 2 spot's a little iffy, but at the same time, it's not that bad. They got Matt Milano back this past week, who's good in pass coverage, not so good in run coverage, which is a kind of a story of the whole Bills defense, is that run coverage has always been the weakness since McDermott's been here. For the first couple seasons, back when the Dolphins had Jay Ajayi, and then the season after that, it was against the Saints and all this stuff, there were always these a game of 3 blocks where they would get like run on, like nonstop, like 250 to 300 yards rushing. And this past season, the season we're in right now, has felt like the entire year has been kind of a lacking of the run defense overall. Like those past years, we were decent, but we'd have those couple games skids where it would be like, oh, we're not that good against the run, and then you think they fix it. This whole season, though, it's been more of they've been getting run on a lot. You might contribute that to the fact that Star Tulele opted out, and they're really small in the D-tackle positions with Ed Oliver and Vernon Butler being your main starting 2, but their run defense is definitely the weak point of that defense, which is good for a team that will come to play them, but it's kind of weird because now the Steelers, who don't rely on the run as much, are coming to a team that their main weakness on defense is the run defense.
Do you think some of that has to do with Cal Williams retiring?
Yeah, I would say, because that first year when Williams was still here, he was definitely like our main run stopper. That was before we had Star, this entire roster has been turned over completely since that first season. Mm-hmm. And then that second season when he was still here, the season he retired, we still had those 3-game skids, but it was only like the 3-1. It wasn't even nearly as bad as the week before or the year before. The year before, Jay Ajayi went for like 200 yards rushing. I believe it was the week after he faced the Steelers and went for 200 yards rushing.
Yeah.
And then we faced the Chargers, which was the Peterman game, which they had a big rushing game that game, and also the Saints game after that. They rushed, I think Kamara and Ingram averaged like 250, or like worked together 250. So in his years that Kyle Williams was there, they were stout against the run, or they were good against the run, and then they would have those 3-game skids, but they'd always bounce back and be good against the run, because then even later in the year, when they faced Miami again, Ajayi did nothing. So now that we replaced him with Star, and now Star's gone, he left a void there that we tried to fill with Oliver. His rookie year, he didn't really live up to that hype, but I mean, then we tried to fill it with Harrison Phillips. That didn't really work out when he tore his ACL last year. He's still kind of rebounding off of it this year. And then Star opted out this year, so we don't really have any star power in the middle of the defense, like a Kyle Williams would have, like we were hoping that Oliver would have. And then we don't have the big, and Kyle was kind of both of that. He was star, and he was a star kind of talent, and also he was a bigger body that could fill up run gaps and stuff. So we don't have that in Star without Star being there, and we don't have the talent he left behind.
Interesting. I know, like, with the Steelers' interior offensive line, I mean, you're going to have some trouble in that regard. I mean, Pouncey's aging, but he's been out the last couple days with COVID, but he's going to be coming back for the Buffalo game probably. We've been starting former Birmingham Iron center J.C. Hassenauer, who's filled in pretty admirably. All he had was, I think, really bad, like a botched snap on one occasion yesterday. But otherwise, he's been pretty admirable. David DeCastro, no need to explain that. That's a borderline Hall of Famer. Left guard is Matt Filer, and he's done pretty good for filling for the retiring Ramon Foster. So those are the 3 interior linemen you're going to be dealing with.
Yeah, I think that
too, like with our line, is that they're really strong pass blockers. Run blocking, they've kind of regressed over the past couple years, mostly due to age, I would say.
Yeah, that would definitely be like if I was to do my normal videos where I didn't have someone I was talking to, I would probably put that as like the big key, was that the Steelers should probably come down, like definitely like because like our pass defense still hasn't been as good as it's been in the recent years. Despite all the talent still being there, we retained a bunch of talent, but the pass defense, especially in the slot with Teron Johnson, he's good in run support, but when you can say that's the best quality of a corner, then you know you have a problem in coverage. So he's been kind of a liability in coverage this year. So I would say for the Steelers, the way they should attack the Bills' defense is try to establish the run, especially in between the tackles. Do you know if Connor's going to be back for that game?
I guess. I know he's on the COVID list too as well. So it depends if he's going to be back or not, if like his symptoms fade.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say. The thing with Connor is you got to be careful because he's a cancer survivor. So I don't know how much that'll play into it, but it seems like he's okay.
Yeah. The Bills definitely have a weakness in that interior, and you guys have a plus in the interior. So if you would, I'd say for them to be able to capitalize on this game is to attack the interior with the interior offensive line, inside zone, power running schemes. Try to incorporate Derek Watt, as you said, who they brought in, and attack out of the slot and out of like maybe that second corner, because you said you guys are super deep at wide receiver. Levi Wallace and Josh Norman are adequate, let's say, at the second cornerback position. They're not Tre'Davious White. Levi had a pretty good game yesterday against the 49ers, but you can definitely tell that they pick on him every single game. So that and the slot cornerback position are definitely areas of weakness in our secondary. So those two positions, so maybe if you can get like Juju man up on Levi or something like that, and then also Chase Claypool out of the slot, you might be able to gain some good passing yards there and break through that talented secondary.
You got to be careful, though. What you shouldn't do is go into a soft zone, because Ben's been doing a lot of dinking and dunking, kind of like a Brady. So he'll take those 5-10-yard passes. So you got to be careful about that, too.
So if depending on what they do this week, the dink and dunk stuff that Ben has been doing could really hurt them, because especially early in the season, if you can establish that interior run like we were talking about, the linebackers, especially Klein and Edmonds, are bite on the play action a lot, so you'll be able to get behind them with like a tight end or like some slant crossers and stuff like that.
I think the main thing for like the Steelers offense, you're not going to be seeing a lot of traditional like play calls or setups. Like you're not going to see I form, you're not going to see strong or weak. You're probably going to get a lot of shotgun. You're going to get a lot of 5 wide out sets, maybe a guy going in motion to the halfback position. You're going to see a lot of halfback in the wide out front. So you're going to get a lot of those looks.
What they usually do, which is a 5 wide out set, what they've done a lot in the goal line and in the red zone, especially on the fourth downs, they'll either run 5 wide, 4 wide with running back in the back, and they'll do either quick slants, a pass, something like that, or they'll have a QB draw or a QB power with Allen, because that's what he brings. Which now we'll use that to segue into the Bills' offense versus the Steelers' defense. I know the Steelers' defense is phenomenal. They have been hit by a little couple injuries. I know Bud Dupree's out with the ACL.
Several big injuries.
Yeah. But you still got TJ Watt. You still got some of the other playmakers you got out there. I know you don't have Devin Bush. You don't have Bud.
Yeah, Bush
Dupree.
is out for a year too. Robert Spillane's also out for a couple weeks, so he's not going to be able to play. So that would be my key for the Buffalo Bills. Aim for the linebackers because you're dealing with backups and third stringers. Maybe Avery Williamson's adapted to the playbook, so you might get some help there. But most of your time is going to be on your tight ends, running backs, and slot receivers. Cole Beasley, you might have a big day for him, but Mike Hilton's pretty good. They might have him zoned on that. But like with Stephon Diggs, they're probably going to have him like wrapped up with Steven Nelson, who I consider to be one of the most underrated cornerbacks in the league.
Yeah, agreed. They're definitely the way, especially since last night and the night before or the week before against the Chargers, they were having their best corners on Diggs and even a little safety help. You could see it like pre-snap. The safety before dropping over to center field would like lean towards his direction and be like, "Hey, I'm watching him first. Don't try to throw it to his way." Obviously, they would kind of scheme things up for him, but they wouldn't. He wasn't breaking big for a lot of catches. That's not how he's gotten a lot of his yards this year. A lot of it's just been a lot of high. Like he's tied for receptions in the league right now with 90. So it's not like he's getting big chunk plays. It's more if you want it, when we incorporate Diggs, because we know how they're going to be covering him, they're going to try to put their best cover man on there and cover over top of him because of his deep threat ability. They try to just manufacture touches to him, make sure he gets the ball like 5 yard out, 6 yard out, something like that.
If you were seeing like the game yesterday, like a lot of the passes were going to guys that you wouldn't expect. Isaiah McKenzie, Dawson Knox. I think the fourth touchdown, I forget the guy whose name it was.
Gabe Davis, the rookie out of UCF.
Yes. Like, you're going to get guys you don't really expect. Cole Beasley had a big game. That's why I think he might have a big game, too, because, I mean, I'm trying to think if slot guys really have, like, a big, like, situation here. But in terms of guys like McLaurin got shut down. So that's probably the guy who Steven Nelson's covering. So, no McLaurin. The guy who did the work was
Logan Thomas. And Charles
Logan Thomas, too. So that's going to be your guys. The Steelers like to use linebackers to cover tight ends and that sort of stuff, so that might be your opening right there. Dawson Knox might have a good game.
Except for when they're covering Keenan Allen, then the linebackers are on him.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Beasley definitely he had his best game of his career last week, or I guess yesterday. So they definitely are probably going to be looking for him a lot, especially because he's had a couple of those games this year where he's gone over 100 yards and a touchdown. Especially when Diggs has been covered against the Cardinals, he had a big game. Against the 49ers, he had a big game, so they might look to him. But like I said, the Steelers defense, they definitely have some, definitely got some good cover guys, especially like you said with was it Hilton in the slot?
Yeah, Mike Hilton is your slot corner.
So I'm not expecting like another game like it was yesterday with Beasley. Might be similarly, maybe he can break it out, but it's really gonna fall on Knox, who is. I wouldn't say he's a great tight end right now. He's not even that good. This is his second year. He had like flashes his rookie year, and this year he's kind of been underwhelming. So our tight end, that's good for what the injuries where they've happened, and the matchups you're getting with the Steelers linebackers and slot corners against the tight ends. It's going to play in your favor, kind of like how the Bills' run defense is playing in the favor for them because you guys don't run the ball enough. We don't utilize our tight ends a lot in our passing game. Like this past game, we had Tyler Kroft inactive for I have no idea why. So and we ran Lee Smith a bunch out there who, like I said, doesn't go out for passes. If he's going to be on the field, most of the time he's run blocking or pass blocking. He's not going to go out for passes.
So like an old 80s, 90s tight end.
Exactly.
That sort of blocking scheme.
Yeah, that's if you see 85 out there, he's going to be just blocking. Even if it's a pass play, he's going to be pass blocking, which is where Knox usually we're thinking could make up for that, but he hasn't really shown to be able to go out there week in and week out and provide a plausible pass option. Like he's had his games, but it's not like you can go out there and be like, okay, they have weak linebackers, Dawson Knox is going to feast on them. It's not. It's like, can we get Dawson Knox going? Maybe. Other than him, like Tyler Kroft had a good week, but we haven't really consistently even dressed them for games. So I think definitely going with their second and third options over them. Like the way the Bills run their offense, they don't try to hit the deep ball as much as teams with as many deep options can. They like to go with over the middle crossers, deep crossing route concepts. If you saw like the week 2 game against Miami, when they were losing in the early second half, just running those plays over and again. Crossers, kind of trying to manipulate zones and try to hopefully catch them in man coverage where they can outrun them. They were able to come back in that game, and Allen put up like 400 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. I have a quick question. Who's your right tackle?
Right tackle right now is Darrell Williams, who was the right tackle / played him everywhere at Carolina a couple years ago. He was an second-team All-Pro, I think 2 or 3 seasons ago. Tore his ACL, was out for a season. Then last year, Carolina played him at like left guard, left tackle, and barely anything at right tackle. We signed him, and now he's been playing at our right guard. I think he was PFF's 14th graded guard right now.
Yeah, you got to be careful about that because his assignment's probably going to be TJ Watt.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, TJ Watt's your right side guy. He usually feasts. Left side was Bud Dupree. I think it's going to be Al Highsmith, who's going to be, he's a rookie 3rd round pick. I mean, you can't really gauge him. He's not really at that point yet. But TJ Watt is the guy you got to watch on defense.
Yeah. Because like last night, I remember.
I mean, you have some really good like Cam Hayward, Tyson Alualu, who's been pretty good this year too. So, as I said, the main key for your linebacking core is TJ Watt. Yeah,
the right tackle position is definitely going to be under duress the whole time. They're probably going to have to try to double TJ Watt, which Darrell Williams has played pretty well this season, but he's not like an elite tackle or anything. So obviously he's gonna TJ is gonna get his chances. Like Joey Bosa had, I think his stat line when he faced the Chargers, I think he was on the right side. He had 8 tackles, 6 tackles for losses, and 3 sacks. It was insane, and he was lining up on that side because Melvin Ingram, well, if he was healthy, would have been on the other side. So Dawkins is our blind side, and then Williams is the right tackle. Our guards, especially, Feliciano went down yesterday, but I think he's going to be ready for this upcoming week. He's more of a mauler, right? Like he's more of a run-blocking kind of guard, so you'll probably be able to benefit on that. Last night, I remember specifically, I turned to my brother because they showed a graphic up there, and it was like, Josh Allen dropped back 30 times, and he got hit twice and dropped twice, and he didn't get sacked at all. I was like, that's not going to happen next week. That is the absolute opposite of what's going to happen.
I'd be surprised if they didn't get a sack in that game.
Oh, yeah. Unlike the
I know Allen's elusive, but...
Right.
They've taken out some elusive QBs.
Yeah, unlike Ben, who hasn't been, if I'm remembering correctly, hasn't been sacked since week 8.
Something like that. I know he hasn't been sacked all that often.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
As I said, they have a strong pass protecting scheme.
Yeah, and the Bills' defensive line is not that. They're in the lower tier, the end of the of getting pressures. They've had some decent sack outings against like the Seahawks and the Cardinals. They've teams with weaker offensive lines, so I'm not expecting any big sacks for the Bills' defensive line, but the Steelers' defensive line I'm expecting a lot out of because, like I said, Feliciano's a little banged up, but he's more of a run blocker anyway. Brian Winters, who we got from the Jets, is just, I don't know why they keep playing him, but they just like consistency, I guess. He came in for Feliciano last night. They finally started playing undrafted rookie Ike, or undrafted third-year man Ike Botgetter at left guard, who was good in his 2 or 3 starts, but it's not like he's all that amazing. So the defensive line and the linebackers for the Steelers, like TJ Watt, and then I'm pretty sure it's Stephon Tuitt, right?
Yep, Stephon Tuitt.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna have a lot of action, especially if TJ Watt can replicate what Joey Bosa did. They're gonna be able to get to Allen a lot, and even I'm not saying that's gonna dictate how the game's gonna go, because like I said, Bosa had an amazing game and they still beat the Chargers. But the defensive line definitely impacts what Allen could do in that game. Allen only had 180-something passing yards and a touchdown. So when he's under duress, he plays definitely worse than he does when he's able to stay there with a clean pocket.
Mm-hmm. Especially, I think that's how most quarterbacks are.
Right. Yeah, it makes it. You think it obvious. It's kind of hard to throw a football when you got a guy trying to parry his helmet in your chest.
Mm-hmm. So Steelers did that to Baker Mayfield against Cleveland. Like they just beat the shit out of him.
Oh yeah,
he was dealing with bad ribs the whole game.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think for the Bills' offense, their keys are probably going to have to be, like you said, because of the linebacker injuries. I think they're going to have to try to utilize over the middle tight ends, maybe slot receivers. Try to get established that over the middle pass presence. But you're going to have to throw it fast and not have like those super deep 7 drops, rollouts, things like that, because your defense, the Steelers defensive line is going to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the Steelers defense, it's definitely. So don't let the Buffalo establish the run, because in the games against the Chargers and the Patriots, they haven't run the ball all that well this year, but when they try to and the game plan to, they've been able to get some movement on the run game.
Singletary's usually pretty good in establishing the running game.
Yeah. Singletary definitely, like, especially last night, they didn't run to him all that often, but when they did, he got at least like 4 or 5 yards every handoff. Moss was a little bit different because, I mean, he fumbled there was that one play where he took the ball, fumbled it right on the 1 yard line, so they got the ball back in like the red zone. He's a rookie though, and they're trying to establish them like a 50-50. Right now, I think Singletary's better up there. So overall, for offensively for the Bills, probably just attacking the linebackers and over the middle, like you said. Try to establish the run game to try to limit the impact that pass rushing D-line can have on you. I know they're still going to be good in the run, but, trying to limit what they can do against the passer. And then on defense, try to slow down the pass and make them force them to go on the run, and because I know that's not what they're comfortable with. And also, I think they definitely need to try to stack the interior because, like I said, you guys definitely have the advantage on the interior, just talent-wise overall.
Mm-hmm. I'd say for the Steelers, you're looking at offensive advantage, maintain balance, establish the run game to open up the passing game, wide receiver and tight end reliability. That's going to be a big one because drops have been a major, major issue. I think they dropped the ball like 8 times yesterday or something like that.
How was the weather there?
It's actually okay. It's like 30, 35 degrees. Yeah, it's not near freezing, but nothing too insane. Let me check the forecast for this Sunday.
Because like right now,
we're playing in Pittsburgh, right?
It's in Buffalo.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait, we played in Pittsburgh last year. That makes sense.
Yeah. Let's see, weather Buffalo, New York for Sunday. Because I know right now, like today, it's been sunny and 33. Let's see what they're forecasting for Sunday. Sunday is going to be, 47 degrees with 50% chance of shower. With the weather now in effect, I think establishing the run game is definitely going to be something they're going to try to focus on with the Bills. And I don't know if the Steelers are going to try to do that as well. I know they haven't really focused on it, but I wonder if the weather is going to make them try to change that idea and mindset.
I'm not sure. I know they usually like to try and throw the ball. They might change it as to do more short passes and screens, but I don't know if they'll really trust the running game unless James Conner's in there.
Right. Which we're hoping he's back. Hopefully he comes back and he doesn't get any, setbacks because of, COVID or cancer or anything like that with all that issues. So we're hoping he's back, and even as an opponent, I don't want to see anyone hurt or have COVID or anything. So let's just throw out, real quick before we end this up, let's just throw out some final predictions for the game then. So I'll start with you over there.
Shoot.
Kind of on the spot.
I say Bills win 24-21.
Yeah, that's good. I know, like I said, I was watching Colin Coward's breakdown of the Steelers-Bills game earlier, and he was like, the Bills, he was like so certain. He was like, the Bills are going to win. They're going to beat them because the Steelers haven't beat anyone. Or something.
The thing with the Steelers is they play down, but they also play up.
Exactly. That's what I was.
That's the sort of situation. They're weird like that.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Like, you could have, play against demigods, and they will keep up with them. You could play them against just some random high school team, and they will randomly play down. Like, it is weird.
So, with that in mind, I'm thinking, and because the Bills have dropped, this is the Bills, I asked you about statement wins earlier. The Bills' statement win so far, I believe, has been the Seahawks game where they beat the Seahawks basically by 17 before a garbage time touchdown. This is their chance because they lost against the Chiefs. They lost against the Titans. Those were the 2 big AFC, prove-it games, prove-it playoffs. So they're going to come in here wanting to play a lot, but I'm not so confident they can pull it off because of the 2 games they've lost against AFC powerhouses already. You say Bills 24-21. I'm going to lean the other way. I'll go Steelers 24-17.
Interesting.
Just because I know when the Bills lay an egg, they definitely lay an egg, and it's been against those powerful AFC teams this year. And I don't know, maybe it's just my years and years of being disappointed by the team that I think, we're finally good, and we'll come back and we'll actually make some noise in the playoffs. But then when you face actual playoff teams, you lose. So maybe it's just me thinking that. Or maybe it's just because I want to be different. I think the Steelers, maybe the Steelers might pull this out.
Welcome to the club, man.
All right. Any last words or anything for this?
No, sir. I want to thank you for having me on, my man.
No problem.
Always good to wax poetic about the Steelers and against your Buffalo Bills.
I think that's been it. That's been a little game preview, a little longer than the ones we usually do. But that's great for me because I know I love talking with you. That was great. I hope you have a good rest of your day. This has been Huddle YouTube channel. We also have on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the good stuff, all the social medias. Also have a podcast we come on every week, comes on Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff. So basically the gist of how our podcast is that you ever sit down, pre-COVID obviously, sit down with your buddies and just be like, hey, let's talk about some football. We watch a football game. That's basically what our podcast is. Me and a couple of my friends just sit here and just spitball about games that we have no idea what we're talking about half the time. So yeah, that's it for us. You want to check us out? Go out, do all that, like, comment, subscribe, whatever, all that normal YouTube stuff. Other than that, I think we're all set for today.
Absolutely.
All right.
Excellent.
All right.